Hey, what's up? How are y'all doing?
Hello.
This is your girl Diamond, and I brought to y'all somebody that I've been knowing for about 2 years.
Yeah, or a little
A little
longer,
bit,
maybe.
yeah,
A
maybe
little
three.
longer.
Yeah. Um, his name is Troy.
Hello.
Um, wow, I wanna.
She's at a loss for words.
Yeah, I'm like, how can I introduce this? We're not gonna do that. Okay, where you from?
Well, I was born and raised in Metro Detroit.
Okay,
Um, lived there most of my life. I've lived in California, lived in Miami, things of that nature. But mostly in Detroit.
okay,
Uh, enjoyed Southern California for a couple of years, but hey, Detroit is my home.
okay. Detroit. Okay, what do you do?
I am the director of operations for a restaurant franchise group.
Okay,
So I just coordinate, delegate, and facilitate. I do a lot of this.
supervise. Okay, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I am 48.
48. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The reason why I know you is because we met each other kind of running in the same circles on different various sites.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason why I wanted to bring him here to you all is because he is somebody that is articulate, as you can tell. He is somebody that is thoughtful. He is somebody that is a man's man that that knows what he wants and he can articulate it and it's nothing um it doesn't seem put on. And that's why I admire him and wanted him to come here.
Well, thank you
um
for that.
this is a trans attracting man. Is
Yes,
that
indeed.
is that a accurate
That is an accurate description.
description? Okay, can you just explain to me what your definition of a trans attracting man is?
Well, let's see. A long, long time ago. I'm not going to say how long ago. I ran into a trans woman. Didn't know she was trans. Um, we didn't really date. We talked a lot on the phone. We spent some time on a stoop. This was back in the 80s, I'll say that. And
Give me a age reference. Just like, were you late teens, early 20s?
I was early 20s.
Okay.
I was early 20s. And I had no idea that she was trans. When I met her, she was kind of in a situation, and I saw a woman in distress. I helped her out, put on my white hat, the whole 9 yards. She was really suspicious at first. And
Suspicious of what?
well, what had happened, she was dating a guy who didn't know she was trans.
Mm-hmm.
He found out. They got into a fight. The cops were involved, but basically the cops let him beat her up, take her purse, and she was just left stranded. Um, I happened to be at work, and I saw her sitting at a bus stop, clothes torn, looking real disheveled, and just something didn't feel right. I stopped. I said, "Hey, seems like you're in trouble." She was like, "No, leave me alone." I was like, "Look, you're in trouble." Blah 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 blah. Handed her my driver's license. Said, "If you get away, you got my license. Here's a business card to where I work. Just let me take you home." I took her home. 6 weeks later, she dropped a bomb on me, and at that point, uh, I was I was sure of who I was and what I was all about. Um, I had a PhD in coochie, so I thought that I thought I was there. I thought I was in. And um, it it just kind of blew my mind, and I wondered why I was so attracted to this woman, to this young woman, because she was what, 19.
Somebody would ask, like, how somebody could be watching this and they ask, like, how did you not know in that 6 weeks, or did you say 6 weeks or 6
About
months?
6 weeks.
In that 6 weeks, how did you not know that you were dealing with something different?
Well, all I saw was a beautiful woman. In fact, and something that my mom had said years later, because actually when I moved to California, I initially moved out there with her, and um, she looked like my ex-girlfriend, this girl that I dated in high school. They looked like they could be sisters. So there was nothing that stood out. There was nothing that said, "Hey, she's different." It was just an attractive woman who didn't act like the kind of woman that I've dated before. So there was no big deal about that.
Okay. Give me a description, like a brown.
She was probably, oh, she's about, she'll probably see this. She's at the time, how old is she? I guess she's about 5'9", 5'10". Brown skin, busty, attractive woman. I mean, I had no, and at that point, this was before the Jerry Springers and the Maury's and
The exploitation.
right, and even I mean, the internet was in its infancy, so there was nothing that I knew, nothing that would have given me any clues to what she was or what had happened at that particular time.
So you said you had a PhD in coochie.
So
how did she give it to you?
Well, I wanted to take her out. I'd given her my pager number. She had, we would talk. I would, go see her. We would sit on the stoop. We would talk. And finally, one day she said, "Hey, you need to come by. I need to tell you something." And I figured she had a boyfriend and, whatever. And, I was just like, but, I thought I was, gonna step to her and everything. And, she told me she was trans. She said, "I'm a transsexual." And I said, "What?
What's that?"
And I kind of knew what it was at that point, but it was just like, oh boy. Okay, well, see you later, bye. It kind of messed up my head because I was really, really attracted to her, and then a lot of things started making sense why she was so apprehensive and spending some time with me alone and things of that nature. And it took a number of years before we actually ended up hooking up and dating. She's actually the first trans woman who I ever had a relationship with.
Okay, so once she told you and you kind of ran off, how did the conversation start back again where you guys were talking? Because
I actually ended up running into her, and I had the experience of a trans woman prior to that. So it was like I still wasn't
prior to running into
her the second time. I still wasn't quite. It took me a while to get.
So how did you meet the other girl then?
She used to walk past my job to catch the bus every day, and my god brother and I would sit there and we kind of somebody got to say something to her. She was an attractive woman, and finally said something to her. She was very, very upfront about it, and I was like, okay, and so we went out, hung out, and some things happened, and so
interesting. So how does one who has a PhD in coochie make the decision, raised in our society? How do you make the decision to go and cross this threshold?
Well, she was very attractive. Both were very attractive women, and part of me couldn't. It was just an attraction. It was a definite attraction, and I couldn't, even after we'll call her Miss X, the first girl who I met. After that initial meeting and that attraction, it was just in the back of my head, and it was just like, okay, I mean. All right, now I know.
So the first girl kind of opened up your mind to the idea.
Exactly.
You kind of ran away from it, and it opened up your mind to the idea, and it's like, and it was in the back of your head, like, how could this go down, and blah, 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 blah. And then the next girl comes.
The next girl came through, and it took me a while to get up the nerve to even say something to her. And she initially didn't really even say that she was trans, and, but then she finally said, "Look, I need to tell you something. I want to be forthcoming." And I was like, "Yeah," I said, I kind of figured that out, blah, 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 blah. So, we hung out and did some things. And, of course, I felt absolutely terrible.
Was it like shame? Guilt?
It was shame, guilt. It was just this whole... Because, again, having that PhD, I was sure of what I wanted, who I was, and what I was all about. Okay, but now you throw trans women in the mix, and then there was nowhere where I could go to have a conversation with somebody who's like, "Pop, let me talk to you. Let me holler at you." Blah blah blah, or brother, can I holler at you? Or you know what I'm saying? I didn't have anybody to go to have this conversation with, and so what happens, and what happens with a lot of guys, you internalize it, and by internalizing it, you make all of these horrible decisions and do all of these horrible things that aren't really conducive to a good relationship. You know, I was going back and forth between trans women and non-trans women, and you know, it was a mess. It was a mess. So that started a period of me living, quote, for the lack of a better term, a double life. I would date, I would date a trans woman, you know, here, but buddy of mine on a topless bar, so I was always in there, and it was just like, "Ooh, look at me, look what I can do," and you know, then when nobody was looking, you know, that's what I was doing, and that went on for quite a while. It went on for about a decade. I'm just back and forth. I got married twice to the same woman. Why?
So you got married. In this decade, do you think that there's a distinction between a player, like a regular player that a regular guy would have dating various women types, fat, white, da 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 da, and a guy who is adding that type of woman, adding the trans woman?
There's really no difference. I mean, you know,
as far as the bottom line,
a lot of women use the term tranny chaser, blah 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 blah. But you know, I've dated a lot of non-trans women. I didn't marry them all. I didn't make them all my girlfriend. There's really no difference. I mean, when you are quote unquote a player, it's still it's all the same thing. I mean, it's somebody who's basically selfish out for his own. I mean, that's the thing that marries the two of them together.
Right.
So
it's not like it's like I'm being a man, and in the process of being a young, immature man with the selfish needs and desires that a young man has, you are just a casualty of that.
Well, yeah, and again, you know, for me, it was the early '80s, so there wasn't an opportunity to go anywhere. I mean, I went to the library. I did some research. You know, I'm really cerebral, so I really went to look and to see what was out there. And at that time, there was nothing. The term trans attracted didn't even exist.
Of course.
So everything that I read,
all these terms for us that hardly exist.
Exactly. So everything said that I was either gay or bisexual, but I don't like anyone who looks like me. You know, never dated a guy.
Maybe like you know anybody who's giving you the image of a
man. No, I don't. I like things that are feminine, things that are beautiful, things that smell good, feel good, the whole 9 yards. I mean, so reading that stuff took me deeper into this cloud of confusion. You know, making me be even more on the DL, making me be even more just unsure of where I was going and what I was doing. So, and then again, not having an outlet, not having anyone to say, "Hey, blah 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 blah," because most guys who are trans attracted are very very secretive. They're very very they don't have. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends who love me unconditionally. I took all of them for granted back then. I always thought that when everybody finds out, you know, XYZ would happen, some bad things or whatever. But none of that happened.
It was out of fear.
It was fear
of society.
And fear is a motherfucker. Fear will make you do things that are contrary to who you are and what you want to do. And that was the most, looking back, and some of the things that people have told me, relatives, friends, the best man at my wedding told me a couple of years ago. He said, remember we were sitting in the pastor's office first time you got married? I said, yeah. He said, what did I ask you? I said, you asked me, was I sure? He said, you never asked me why. And I said, okay, I'm going to ask you why. He said, because. He said, I knew you was dating trans women then. I was like, he said, yeah. He said, I have been there. He said, that's why I told you, because he was a cop. He pulled out his gun. He said, we can shoot our way out. You know, he said, if you want to leave, we'll leave. He said, if you want to stay, we'll stay and we'll do this. But know that you're my brother and I love you. And whatever choice you make, I got your back. Being in the cloud that I was in and thinking that getting married was the thing to do.
Was it
none
like
of it
the
registered.
social thing to do?
Well,
Because
my brothers were married. All of my friends were married. You know, I got married kind of late. So, you know, it was just, and I thought getting married would, you know, wipe the slate and make me not, you know, not want to be with a trans woman.
But you did love your wife, though.
Yeah. Let me say this. I have this theory. I call it the Eddie Murphy syndrome. I know a number of guys who are trans attracted. If you look at the women that they've dated who aren't trans, look through a photo. Wow, is she? No, that's my ex-wife. Hey, let me show you a picture of mine. So we have a certain type of woman that we.
So you're
that we
basically
like.
saying that most of their wives look like trans women.
I'm just saying. Just look at all the women that he has dated. He's probably the biggest example. Look at some of the women that he's dated.
Like Nicole Murphy. She's beautiful.
I didn't say that.
Okay. And there's something I want to piggyback off of what you said earlier. You said that, you know, a lot of trans attracted men are secretive. It was so hard, y'all, for me to find somebody who was willing to be on camera. It's tons who would do the audio and not be on camera and just wouldn't be on camera. He's the only one that I was able to find. And I wanted to do this like 2 years ago. And we finally could hook up because I'm in the Midwest area for the holidays. And he, you know, he graciously said, I'll do it, you know. So I thank you. I want to thank you for that.
Oh, not a problem.
And I wanted, the reason why I wanted the visual, because it says something. Mm-hmm. There's so many men, I feel, in our community that I feel if more of the men who did like us come out and I hate saying come out like they're in a closet or something, but you know,
I mean, you know, it'll
help our movement.
Well, I've ran into guys since then. Since when I got divorced the second time. Let me say it like this. I knew when I got married the second time that I definitely was more trans attracted than anything else. But I wasn't having success in finding a woman who, you know, a lot of the trans women do sex work and things of that nature. So finding a successful, nurturing type relationship was just too hard. It was too hard to do. Mm-hmm. So I decided to get married again.
And it wasn't just the sex work. What other elements was it?
I mean, well, it's sex work. It's seeming that, you know, women that were, when I got married the second time, I think I was about 32. I got married the first time I was 29. That only lasted 18 months the first time. The second time I was about 32.
And this is the same woman?
The same, yeah. I married the same woman. It's like jumping off a bridge and catching yourself and saying, hey, let's do that again. This is fun. But then I slipped and smashed my head on a rock. But I was tired of not finding someone who was like-minded. I was tired of not being able to, you know, a lot of religious people talk about finding someone equally yoked. But to me, because I'm not a very religious person, I'm very spiritual, but I don't believe in religion because, you know, religion told us we were supposed to be slaves. So why would I follow religion? But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Different video.
But you know, finding someone equally yoked who shares my morals, my goals, my dreams. You know what I'm saying? Finding someone like that really proved to be very, very difficult for me. And
In the trans community.
yeah, in the trans community, and I just said, okay, well, just forget it. I'm gonna get married again, and I'm not gonna ever talk to a trans woman. I'm never gonna, never.
Gotcha.
I'm done. And yeah, that lasted about 2 years.
Gotcha. When I wanted you on, I wanted to talk to. I definitely wanted you to be a testament to other men, and to kind of put some normalcy on it because you're so normal to me. Like you're normal. Like you remind me of guys in my family.
I've gotten that from some women who I've dated, their family members. It's just like, wow, you're a normal dude.
Because
what am I supposed to be?
But the image for some people is not that. They think like and this is a term I know some of you guys hate that I use, but you know me. They think that like we date faggots, flamboyant sissy sometimes,
right,
and some of us do.
Right.
Some of us do that.
Some do. Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, we are the woman in the relationship, and the man is the man. That's usually the case. Now you have some people, like in any relationship, that changes that dynamic, but normally the normal in our particular lifestyle is, the trans woman is the woman, and then we date our men. So I dated a download guy for 5 years, and he just had this whole thing about what people thought, what people would think, how he wouldn't, like I needed to move this one time, and I said, well, only people who was there to help me move was my gay homeboy,
right,
and him, my 2 gay homeboys, and him. He did not want to come and help me move because I had.
But what happens in that situation is you allow fear to control you. You allow fear to make decisions for you that aren't necessarily the right decisions to make for you and for whoever you're with. And letting other people shape who you are and what you think is probably the biggest mistake that any man could ever make.
And this would come from a place of experience.
Oh yeah, because it's funny. I had a cousin. He's no longer with us anymore. Love you, brother O. He knew years ago that I was trans attracted. In fact, because his cousin on his father's side stayed 2 doors down from the girl that I was seeing. And one day I went over there and I pulled in front of the house, and he was standing out front and he was looking at me. And the eyes ain't as good as they used to be. And I said to myself, oh, that sure look like boy, you can't come speak to me. And and inside I was like, uh-oh,
Look here.
And then, his cousin came out and he said, hey, and then her dad came out. And my cousin spoke to him by name. He knew who he was, And he grabbed me around the neck. He said, you know what? You my motherfucking cousin. I love you, man. I don't give a damn, punk head. Push me. Talk to you later. I was like, wow, And the woman I was dating was like, wasn't that all? He said, so Derek is his cousin? Yeah, that's his cousin. Oh, well, they know. Yeah, I know. He's been, but in my mind, I was secret agent man. I was, nobody knew. And the people who cared about me most were more concerned with just me being me and stop thinking the funk. So when it all came out, especially after I got divorced, because my ex-wife was on this vendetta to try to embarrass me, try to make it seem that, she wanted to tell everyone who had ever been involved in my life. But at that point, I was so tired of living a lie that I didn't care. So
it came out while you were married?
Yeah, because I did a whole lot of things to bring it out and kind of put it in her face. which was, and if you ever see this, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But it was not about her. There was no disrespect to her. It was all, I was selfish. I was afraid. I was, and I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I had no clue. So, um, by the time all of that went down, and we were, our marriage was, it had been pretty much over for a while. I started doing things like, we weren't sleeping in the same room, leaving my computer on, and she could just go in and see what I was on, and leaving, DVDs and videos up where they weren't hidden. My son wasn't even one, so he couldn't get to them. But she would see them, what's this? What does it look like? And so I kind of put it in her face in a manner that, in hindsight, I could have been a lot more sensitive and tactful and more sensitive to her, because it really, about 12 years since we've been divorced, it took almost 12 whole years for us to start having a decent relationship again, because we have a son who's 15.
Because I can imagine it made the self-esteem issue. It really could have made her feel inadequate.
Yeah.
Because how do you compete with that? It's different if you find out your husband likes a woman, a regular woman, but then you have this other type of woman coming into play who may have something that you just don't have, and how are you going to compete with that?
And at the time, I really didn't think about that. At the time, I was just, I shouldn't have got married. And I was just tired. It was just like, I cannot do this. I cannot do this anymore. I can't.
What I was thinking about when you are, for anybody transitioning, his transition, my transition, drugs addicts transition, a student's transition going from high school to college to graduate, any transition, you're going from something that you are to something new. Mm-hmm. In the process of that transition, there is some change. Sometimes it's going to be ugly. Sometimes it's going to be painful. Sometimes it's going to metamorph and change and show out in so many different type of ways that you didn't expect it to. For a young trans person, if you are in this situation that this is not what I want to be, I want to be this. In that process of you changing, so you're going to lose some people, gain some people. It's going to be so many things. Your parents are going to argue and fight with you because you can't get rid of them. They're going to always be your parents. They're going to argue and fight with you and try to stop, and it's going to go through this. You might have to cuss your mom out. You ain't never cussed her before in your life. You might have to cuss her out. You might have to do this. You might have to do some of these ugly things just to get you here to where now me and my mom is straight and I'm back respecting her, but I am who I am in honesty. And that goes back his transition too, where I went through this whole, where you went through this whole life of being, this is what I like, and this is what I want to do, and I'm tired of like living to a standard of somebody else, and I have to transition out of this. And unfortunately, for your wife, she was a part of that change.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of trans women don't understand. When a trans woman transitions, it's external and internal. Okay, you have visual cues. You start to look different. You start to talk different, move different, walk different. You know what I'm saying? But for a trans attracted man, everything is internal. So there's no visual cues that's going to make you, you know what I'm saying? Because you're still the same person. Right. Nothing changes. Just how you react to the rest of the world, and
still like sports.
And how you perceive yourself. It's all about how you perceive who you are. My brother told me one day at the end of the day, he was like, "Who's gonna whoop your head?" And I never really thought about it that way. I mean, I have yet to have someone step to me, man or woman, in a disrespectful way, other than my ex-wife being angry and saying the things that she said. I've yet to have someone really come to me and say, blah, 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 blah. My coworkers know, family members, friends, people I've known for 20, 30 years, they know. They don't give a damn, They want, the people who love me want me to be happy.
Right.
And as a man transitioning, and I'm saying this to every guy out there, you have to be able to love yourself, because until you love yourself, you're not going to be able. I went through a whole lot of relationships that failed miserably. They failed miserably because, number one, I wasn't there. I wasn't always there, because if I was dealing with a non-trans woman, I was you know I was only there for show, like on Mad TV Stewart. Look what I can do. It's like, watch me over here, but don't watch me over here. And you can't have a relationship with anyone if you're not whole, if you're not happy, if you're not settled in who you are. And it took me really leaving Michigan and actually losing someone who actually, when I was first married, this woman loved me to death. She would have done anything for me. She didn't know that I was married. I kept it a secret for about 3 years. When she found out, it broke her heart. She ended up getting pumped, and she died. I never got an opportunity to tell her that it wasn't about her. I've had the opportunity to go to my ex-wife and say, hey, this was all about me and me being selfish and me being afraid and things of that nature. But I didn't have that opportunity to tell this young lady that I appreciated who she was. I appreciated what she did for me. And I was more or less a coward. I mean, that's the only way to say it. And thinking back, I mean, they say you shouldn't have regrets. I regret that. I regret the fact that I didn't let her know how special she was to me. And that's something that I made peace with. But you still can't go back and change it. And, that lingers in my mind.
Gotcha. That makes sense. It's been a lot of times in my younger life where guys were so in my mind, like they were selling me a dream. Like this, I'm older now, a little bit more game. So I can kind of pick up on when, all right, you one of those. I can kind of pick up that now, but when I was younger, I've talked about this before on my channel, how when, as a trans woman, because like our mind, we're girls in our mind, regardless of what people think.
Right.
So the same idea, the same like life that the media and stuff sells you to do, you want that for yourself. So that white picket fence, married dog, and 2 kids, you want that, even though it's not possible on certain levels. Like, I can't have babies, I can't do that. Right. But because you've been affected just like a regular biological natal-born woman was affected by the media and her family and the upbringing and the conditioning, you still want those things. So in the process of wanting those things, that you're meeting these guys who
sell your pipe,
who sell you that, and they sell you, oh, you so pretty, you so pretty, you so pretty, you so pretty. Oh, you look just like a woman. I think of you exactly like a woman. But and that could be possibly true. That could be true to them. But they still are not trying to take you out. They still are scary. They still want to come see you at 3:00 in the morning.
But again, when a guy does that, and I'm on the flip side of that now. I want to go out. I want to find out who you are. Don't invite me over at 10:30 at night, 11:00 at night. You know what I'm saying? Because it's only a couple things you can do that late. Might watch a movie and. So, let's go out. Let's go to dinner. Let's do these things. But there are a lot of trans women who aren't comfortable with that. There are a lot of trans women who they're not in that place to where they feel comfortable out and about, that they feel, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
within their own look,
right?
Talking about like
not even with their own look, or just thinking that why does he want to take me out?
Because it's so unexpected. Like a lot of times, a lot of girls, me, it wasn't about that. When I was younger, I was naive, and I just was like, I don't know. It just was weird. But I know, looking back on some of the girls that I knew, sometimes it would be the fear of getting clocked while you're with a guy, because how embarrassing that could be. Sometimes it's just they're so bitter. They've been done wrong and
Right.
used all for so long that they're like, you have to be just like them. So listen, why not? You find, let's just cut to the chase and fuck,
But
and don't sell me that dream. Sometimes it's like that.
but by that same token, you know, I could, as a trans attracted man, I've run into girls who, are only only about
Money.
sex work and money, and they fit into this box. I don't put everybody into the same box because I don't want to be put into a box because that's not who I am. Um, it's funny. I've dated a couple of women, and talked to them, and blah blah blah. This is who I am. Blah blah blah. They didn't believe me. Well, then they started doing some checking. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna see. Do you know Troy? Oh yeah, well he did it. Oh well, I want to go out with you now. No, because I'm still that same person. To me, it's just like you had to get validation from other folks. When judge me by my actions, like I'm going to judge you for yours. Judge me for who I am and what I bring to the
That's
table.
good in thought. That's
No,
good in thought.
but okay, but still,
That's good in thought.
say it's good in thought, but at the end of the day, for example, there's a young lady who lives in the city that we're in right now. We met, went out, met her family. Her family loved me to death. I mean, her grandmother thought I was just the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, her extended family, her gay father and her uncles were just like, wow, here's a regular, quote unquote, regular guy, this and this and that. And, because we live in different cities, she ended up getting with some guy who just got out of jail and never had a job. And, but she told me, she said, I met a guy who's just like you. I said, okay, you lying.
Who am I?
No,
obviously,
because, I know only a handful of men who are, for the lack of a better way to say it, who are out and open about who they are and who date trans women and who don't care what anybody says and whatever, who aren't what I call lapdogs, who date some of the girls who are sex workers and they don't have a job and all they do is suck and leech off of them. I have a job. I'm a white collar professional.
I know we done seen a lot of them.
So it's just like when she said that it was a guy like me, I knew instantly that she was, and I was like, you know what? Okay. Went to my phone, delete, Facebook, delete, because I knew. And then here comes phone calls from her extended family and family members and friends. It's just like, we're sorry, we don't know what's wrong with her. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. And that has happened more than once.
But I think that is the problem, that the unsolvable problem when it comes to trans women and trans attracted men. The issue is you guys, the ones who are mature, because you didn't get to this level.
No, it's.
I mean, you were a player in the beginning in that decade. We talked about. So, and I'm sure there was somebody in that decade that you sold a dream to.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I can't judge you by your action. I have to do that verifying. I have to do these things.
But once and again, once you find out who I am and what I'm all about, what to me, I don't know. Maybe at this point because I'm almost years old. I don't have that. I don't have that time. I don't have that. I spend most of my weekends at home by myself. My son comes over, whatever. When he's out of school, he's with me or whatever. But for the most part, I spend my time alone because casual sex when I was younger, ooh, this is fun. Now, what more are you bringing to the table? If all you bring is a pretty face and some body, I can get that. That's easy. What more can you do for me? What can we do for each other to move us forward? You know what I'm saying? And it's a whole different ball game, and it's just tiring right now. It's some weekends are harder than others. I wake up and go to the gym. And if my son's busy that time of the day, and I don't see him, I'm pretty much at home chilling. Because there's no one there who I want to bring into my life who I think is going to enrich my life and make me better.
Right.
And somebody who is going to support me like I'm going to support them. I don't want anything one-sided. I want someone that's just going to be equally yoked with me. And in this lifestyle, it's very, very difficult to find.
And that's vice versa. I think that on both ends we have people on our end that feel like that, and your end that feel like that, and it's hard to find men that are equally yoked, that are not lapdogs, that are not broken, and not even trying to be fixed. Everybody is not a therapist, so they can't fix you. Um, it's so many men out here that are not on that level, and you weren't on that level.
No, I wasn't, but
So it's hard to tell when you found one.
I found a therapist for the most part. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. So, what I did is I started writing because I wanted to look back and see what I was doing and how I was doing and what I was doing wrong. And looking at it and reading it and seeing it on paper versus just, trying to talk to someone who really can't connect to where you are and where you're from. I mean, I'm blessed. I have some people in my life who, I have some family members and I have some friends who I can pick up the phone right now if I'm having an issue. I don't have to talk around the fact that, that she's trans. I don't have to say, well, I met this girl and blah, 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 and, the core of the issue might be because she's trans or because her family's this or because of whatever. I can go right to the point and I can get honest feedback from them. When I was younger, I didn't have that. And all I did was internalize it. And when you internalize things like that and you take all that negativity in, it manifests itself in just very, very negative ways outwardly towards the people who you bring into your life. Not necessarily on purpose, but I think it's a definite reaction to not dealing with whatever issues that most guys have and not being able to have an outlet. And most guys just don't have it. And like I said, I'm blessed. I got some friends who right now I can pick up the phone, dog, ABC, okay, blah, blah, blah. We shoot shit.
Have you lost friends?
No. I almost lost one when I got divorced. Buddy of mine who I had known for 20 plus years. I had to pick up something from his job, and I didn't get a chance to get over there. So I told him, "Hey, I'm gonna come to the house. I'm gonna pick it up." He said, "Well, my wife, she don't want you to come over." I'm like, "Why? Your ex-wife came over and she said blah blah blah, such and such and such." And I was like, "Okay, delete." Fine. You don't want to be my friend. A couple weeks later, he called me back and said, "Look, man," he said, "I wouldn't have my bachelor party if it wasn't for you. You've been my friend. You've been my boy forever. Whatever, dog. I'm sorry. So other than that few weeks time period when he and I kind of didn't talk, I really didn't lose anybody. I mean, everybody's still, I'm still Troy. I'm still, the guy that they worked with for years or been their friend for years or, help, their kids and my nephews and nieces or whatever. I mean, we still have that close bond. So, no, but I'm real lucky. A lot of guys don't have that. My parents, I got the greatest parents in the world, mom and dad. Y'all the best. I got the greatest siblings in the world. They support me 1,000%. And I feel bad that I thought that they would be anything other than supportive.
That's just scary.
It's fear. It's fear. My dad and my ex-girlfriend, who I was with for 8 years, she's trans. Our fathers are the best of friends now. One day my dad, I was over there having Sunday dinner. Dad came home and he's not the biggest communicator in the world. He said, I'm not talking to him about it. Not get it, son. He kissed me on the top of my head, pushed my head, and that was him saying to me, "I got it."
And we don't
I've
need all that
never-
extra long talk.
No, we didn't have to go into this whole, bring out the violin and all that stuff. And so, let me talk to you. I mean, but it was his way of saying, son, I got you and I feel you, and don't worry about me anymore. And I mean, they're still the best friends. Thanksgiving, I saw our parents at our parents' house. They spoke to them or whatever. But again, it's it's fear, and most of the guys, and I can't impress upon you guys out there, until you let this fear go, you are going to not, you can't be happy, and you can lose a lot. My first divorce cost me $350. My second divorce, my wallet still cry from my second divorce. Somebody say marriage, you can hear my wallet go. So but I took everything that happened to me as a penance. That's how I had to pay for what I had done, because I knew going in that this isn't what I wanted. So
somebody, I have a trans attracted man friend that I've been friends with for years, and upon knowing that you were going to come, I asked him. I said, "What do you think?" Because I'm coming from my side,
mm-hmm.
I had my question prepared from my side, and I was like, "Well, what if it was a trans attracted man watching?" I was like, "What would you want him to talk about?" And he gave me a list of things, but one of the things that both me and him agreed that was he wanted to hear your thoughts on, because he's like 28, and he's not open. He's DL,
mm-hmm.
But he's young and he's coming around.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying about we called it drawing the gay line. And what we were talking about is how you have some men who say, if you do this with a trans woman, you're not gay. If you do this with a trans woman, you are gay. Or if you do this, da 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 da. If you do this, da 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 da. And we was like, everybody draw the gay line, but not just the men or society. Trans women do the thing too. And I have to be. We've talked about this on my channel. There's certain things in the bedroom that if a guy does, it emasculates him to me. And regardless of how people explain it, I know there's a superficialness to it and it's a hypocritical and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just telling you from my point of view how I think about it. And there's certain things that are emasculating to me. And then there's some things that are not. And we were talking about, did you go through a process with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were certain things that I wouldn't even, there's certain things I wouldn't do. I wouldn't, I didn't want to, I ain't touching that. Girl, get that thing away from me. But when I got into this, I was in a relationship for 8 years. And when I got into that relationship, it just seems like everything that I thought, it all kind of got flipped on its head, because, again, our families are still close, even though we've been apart for about 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years now, maybe, something like that. When you get my age, you tend to forget how long it was. But there were things in the bedroom that I just wouldn't simply do, flat out. I like to drive. I like to have keys. I like to drive. I like to be in control. And one particular time, I knew what I was going to do because I had keys. It was getting ready to put them in ignition, and it just got flipped on my head, literally. And it was just like, okay, but this was a woman who I loved unconditionally, and doing something that she wanted to do, that didn't emasculate me. I didn't feel any. At first, I was like, I couldn't believe it was happening, because it wasn't anything that we talked about, anything that was planned, because we always did things, one way, because, what I'm saying. And it, for a minute while it was happening, but just the emotion and everything that went with it, it changed, because here was a woman who I loved, and I know she loved me. And so it really didn't matter, because we didn't put up those false pretenses. We didn't She was still my woman. Um, you know, she's somebody who I loved and respected, um, and we knew our roles or whatever. So I don't that stuff doesn't bother me. I mean, when I hear people talk about it, and we've talked about it on a couple
Yeah.
of internet shows that we've been on, and for me, I just think that we have been conditioned by society to think a certain way, um, and that's what most guys go through. You're so conditioned on thinking one thing, but here you had this woman. If your woman ain't taking care of you in the way you want to, you gonna go somewhere else. She's gonna do the same thing. So that's all I'm saying.
That's true. All right. So, to any trans attracted man out there,
Hmm.
of anything that you have not said that you would want them to drive home with them.
I mean, at the end of the day, you have to stop allowing this, and I've said it once. I'm gonna continue to say it. You have to stop letting fear be your driving factor in your life. If you continue to allow fear to drive you, if you make that your motivation, if you make that the key decision maker in your life, you are going to fail at a lot. For example, I went through some things, different jobs. I've been very, very blessed. I've had some great jobs, but because I was so distracted in my personal life, I wasn't able to focus properly on the jobs that I had. Um, because again, being trans attracted, not having an outlet, not being able to talk about it, not being able to, get some of this stuff off your chest, um, is difficult. So, you know, your job, your personal relationship, your family relationships, because your mom and your dad gonna say, okay, you never bring anybody over, or you're bringing people into your life who doggone well, if some of these guys are still on a DL and they're dating non-trans women, and they're bringing them around the family just for show, um, you're wasting your time, and you have to just look in the mirror. You have to do whatever you need to do to get yourself together and just say that I'm me. At the end of the day, I'm not worried about now. There's nothing anybody can say to me, you know, um, that's going to make me feel bad, or that's going to make me doubt, that I'm a man. I'm a grown man, you know, and like I said, no one has ever stepped to me. No one ever will step to me. I dare you. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Because at the end of the day, I'm man enough to be me. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do. You hide yours. I'm out here. And I ain't scared. Stop being scared. That's the most important thing. Stop being afraid. If you stop being afraid, your life, every aspect of your life will improve. I have two sons. One is grown, one is 15. My sons know my 15-year-old, my ex that I was with for 8 years, helped me raise my son. My oldest son, I mean, they look at life, they look at people. They look at people as people. They don't make these, you know, these decisions that society, they don't follow society's norms. My oldest son has gay friends, black friends, white friends, whatever, 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 because he understands that people are people. Um, when you put that out there, when you treat people with respect, when you treat yourself with respect, you're gonna make your life better. So guys, y'all just gotta do it, and just stop being afraid.
What would you say to trans women?
Stop selling yourself short. Stop getting with these guys who don't want to be with you. But listen, you know, one problem that I had in the beginning, um, I didn't have any. Even trying to talk to a woman that I was with, sh having that conversation that I'm feeling this sort of way or that sort of way about us, or about being trans attracted, or whatever, whatever. Most women don't want to hear that, because they kind of feel that maybe it minimizes their womanhood or things of that nature, and it's
Their
not.
own insecurity.
Right, their own security,
Right.
right. So most men don't say, if we can't talk to you ladies, and most of these guys don't have anywhere else to go, what are they going to do? How are they going to come to terms? How are they going to be able to get this stuff off their chest? They're not. So, ladies, I'm not saying that you have to be a therapist to every guy that you meet, but you may have a guy who everything is okay, but but there's just this one hurdle or these two hurdles that he has to cross so that you can be okay. If you're not going to be that person for him, he's not going to have anybody else. He's not going to be like me. He's not going to have a friend or a sibling or heck, I can call my mom, and talk to my mother about it. Most people don't have that. So if a guy doesn't have you, ladies, if you're not going to be all in, that relationship is doomed to failure. So you have to be a little bit more understanding, but also don't sell yourself short. Stop allowing these guys who you know is on a DL and is only going to call you at 2 o'clock. What you doing? What's up? I just wanted to come and chill, baby. Yeah. Okay. Stop allowing those kind of men in your life because then when somebody who comes through who really, who's really there or to a point where he's ready to make a commitment or to show you something different, you're going to be so closed off because all men are, and I hear it all the time. Well, all men are this, that. And I hear guys, oh man, they ain't never hooking your hoes and this and that, man. Okay, well then you're already defeated. You're already lost. So stop making these assumptions, ladies, about all men. Guys, you need to stop doing the same thing. And if enough of us men stand up at the end of the day, if we stand next to these ladies and be real, can't nobody stop us. At the end of the day, I want a woman who is going to love me like I love her. And she's going to know that at the end of the day, I got her back 100%. And I'm not going to allow anybody to disrespect her or our relationship. So,
Okay, last but not least, people who are not in the trans community watching this, because I have a lot of non-trans people that watch me. A lot of questions that I try to answer when I interview somebody. I try to think about what they're going to ask, and one of the questions somebody initially asked when I did a video kind of by myself talking about trans attracted guys, they were saying one of the ladies said, Diamond, when I watch you, I think of you as a woman. When I watch you, I think of you as a woman, and I see through you raising your brother, I just see a woman. And then but she said, but at the end of the day, we don't come from the same paths. This is a native born woman. She said, we don't come from the same path. So because you have what you have, meaning a penis, she said, I can't think of a guy who would accept that part of you not being a gay guy, or at the least bisexual. So how can he come to me? How could I think of a man as a heterosexual when that's not the case?
Well,
is that just a label thing?
At the end of the day, you're right. It's a label. I really don't care. Again, the trans attractor label didn't exist, back in the early 80s. It didn't, So I didn't know how to even describe, who I was or to verbalize it or what have you. You know what? For people who, who aren't trans attracted, or to you women who are out there who aren't trans, and
the men who's going to watch it,
and men who don't, men
who don't
whatever.
understand.
I know a guy. I'm gonna be as vague as I can, so I'm not calling him out. But there was a thing on the radio where he actually made a comment about he has no respect for guys who date a transsexual. He can spot them out anytime, in whatever. Well, he had hit on my ex-girlfriend a number of times, and he and I were real cool. I actually called him out. I called him out in public. I called him out on the radio. I did it because, he and I aren't cool anymore. But I did it because, number one, first and foremost, I said, so you don't respect me. And he thought that I was joking, and I said, this isn't a joke, because, that woman that you have seen me with, that woman who you always compliment her beauty, she happens to be trans. No. And the other guy on the radio was like, wait a minute. I said, and I told him, I said, my mom. I said, you can pick up the phone and call my mother. You know, so and I said, you saw her because we were in Subway. I said, you saw her in Subway. And we were talking. Yeah, she was. She's beautiful. I said, I like beautiful women. I like beautiful women. Um, whatever, you know, sex, sexual orientation, gender, sexuality is not black and white. It's simply not. It's not. It's not. Until I got to that point, the understanding that it's not black and white, that's when I became more comfortable with me because, there's all these different shades of gray, So, you can feel how you want to feel. You can talk about, religion or whatever, but I can talk about a whole bunch of other stuff that can make you just seem like you just crazy. So, just treat people with respect. You don't have to like it, but respect me as I respect you. Because if you don't respect me, I'm gonna come after you, and I'm gonna let you know, and I'm gonna be loud, I'm gonna be obnoxious, and I'm gonna show you that I will get my respect, and you won't disrespect who I'm with. So, if you don't like it, just respect that it's different and that you don't want to be bothered with it, and that's fine. But when you start to impress your beliefs and your feelings on me, I'm coming after you, and I'm coming after you hard. So just treat people with respect. I don't like big fat women. I don't date white women. That's just me. You can say what you want to say. That's just me. Okay. Does that make me racist, or that make me size phobia, or whatever you want to call it? Okay, whatever. I like what I like. Deal with
It's
it.
about preference.
Yeah.
I think when you I think that's what it comes down to, respect. Because everybody has preferences, and it's when you demonize that thing that you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
It's when, if I say, I don't date dark skinned guys. All dark skinned guys is ugly, or they too black for me, or that kind of stuff that I hear sometimes from people. I think when you make like it seemed like all of them and da 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 da. When you do that, that's when it kind of becomes negative. But just having a preference isn't a problem. I think what you just said, it's all about respect.
I tell people all the time. I said I have a really nice job where I do a lot of this. In fact, I had a woman the other day. She shook my hand and she said, "Your hands are really soft. Why are your hands so soft?" I said, "Because I don't work." I said, "I ain't never did no." I said, "I ain't never worked with my hands." I said, "I'm never gonna work with my hands." I said, I coordinate, delegate, and facilitate is what I do for a living. I don't work. I run my mouth and I smile. That's what I do. So, well, a man's supposed to have hard hands. Okay, well, guess what? Then my hands won't be laying on your body, so don't worry about it. So again, people have such strong opinion. Okay, so what? I don't work. I don't do that. I don't go. I don't dig ditches or do construction I don't do that. I never did. I've always worked in the office. I've always or been I've always done white collar stuff. I always wore a tie and a suit and just smiled a lot and talked a lot. So that the mark of a man means he has to have hard hands, or the mark of a man has to people who have those strong opinions, fine, keep them to yourself. Your religion, keep it to yourself, because everybody has religion, whatever. I really don't care.
And the whole reason why you have this strong opinion is because of that religion. And that same religion is against what you're doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you have this, it just ruined my family
That'll
time.
be a video for another day.
That ruined my family time. Anyway. So I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share this side of. It's funny, somebody just wrote a comment saying that, "Oh, I wish you would do this with a trans attracted man," and I said I'm working on that this weekend. and I just for giving me the opportunity to and being fearless. And
we were supposed to do this last year,
yeah,
but it just didn't happen. And at the end of the day, I have to live my truth, and part of what I want to do is put myself out there. Got a book that will probably be coming out the first of the year, talking about what it was like, and what I've gone through. It talks about my life a little bit, the things that have happened with me, things that I've gone through, and it's in a lot of, some of it is in a lot of detail. But at the end of the day, I want to help some guys out there who are going through this, because I run into guys who I've worked with in the past, who I've known in the past, who have actually dated trans women, who actually, were really caring about someone, but they couldn't get over the hump. And they would approach me and was like, man, I look up to you, or man, I wish I'd have knew blah, 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 because this, that, and the other. I got somebody in my life who, we were going through the same stuff at the same time. We were dating friends. We were dating friends who lived in the same building. And up until maybe 2001, we didn't know it, and we were both at first girl I talked about. We were at her house in California, and he jumps off the couch and he goes, "This is her." And I grabbed the phone and I dialed her number, because she and I are friends, and we had been friends for years. And she thought, that I was lying, that it was me playing on the phone. Until we walked in the front door, she was like, "Wow," So how fundamentally would our lives would have been different if we would have actually talked to one another
And been friends.
and talked about what we were truly going through. We were, because we're very, very close, and we're still very, very close. But we never talked about the fact that we were both trans attracted. We never did. We never had that conversation up until about 2000, 2001.
And then men, this get deeper, but men don't seem like girls. We seem to have that moment where we want to talk and make little groups so we can talk and get our issues out. Men don't get into that.
No, because I can't be talking like that. Don't talk about my feelings. Can't talk about my feelings. I don't have no feelings.
I always wondered that, because like my ex-husband, and like we just start talking back again within the next past 2 weeks. And he kind of has opened up about that. He was like, I had so many issues with me being in that type of relationship, but I loved you. I loved everything about you, as far as the type of woman you were, da 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 da. But I just had so many issues, and I wish I had met you years later. But now I have ruined everything. We got so much of this negative history that you won't give me a chance to be back with you.
Right, and it's not about, and that's something you ladies don't understand. It's not about who you are. It's not. It's about us. It's about not being comfortable enough in our own skin, and not being through our transition. And once we get through our transition, it's just like that veil is lifted, and it's just like, wow. Because again, at the end of the day, I had so many people who already knew what was happening, but just never said nothing, either A, out of respect, or B, because I didn't say anything to them. And I wasted time. Stop. And life is too short. Life is too short. Me losing Jalen years ago, that really opened my eyes to tomorrow's not promised. So if you don't show the people who mean something to you right now, if you don't show them that you love and you care for them, and you don't talk and you open up, and ladies be open, guys be open and talk, tomorrow they might be gone, and you can never get that back.
That's the end. That's true. Well, this is your girl Diamond, and this is Troy. Thank you.
You're welcome.